Good morning here over on the East Coast. It's 10:11 a.m. down here in sunny Southwest Florida, and we have not been to sleep yet since last night. We've got a long show coming up here as we're going to cover day 3 with David McNiner and all the boys today. So we're going to try to power through this thing as fast as possible so I can go take a shower and drink some coffee before the next stream. I really wanted to get this out yesterday, considering part of my special is the third round. And of course, some of these guys did get taken yesterday on the late day 2. Don't think any of them were second rounds, but there might have been like 1 or 2, which generally does happen with some of those third round guys. Because, if you believe, right? But we definitely saw a little bit of head scratcher picks from a couple different teams yesterday. Really excited to watch how today unfolds. I still think there are a good bit of good players left. And I think there are a lot of players that have potential and high upside. A lot of these guys that you're going to see here on some of these lists probably, they might be undrafted guys, or what I'm hoping for today is they're going to be a lot of the names that didn't come up in mock drafts that people didn't discuss. And hopefully, if you watch this, you're going to walk away with some information on some guys and a little bit of know-how before today's draft starts for day 3 of the NFL draft. With that, let's get started here. We're starting right away with the offense. I will warn you, though, I completely skipped wide receivers. I just didn't have the time, man. There's a lot of project guys in this draft class, a lot of guys. This was the fastest wide receiver draft class at combine history. And generally you would think there's a ton of small guys, but that's not the case. There are a ton of big, tall guys that run fast. So if you were looking for an X guy that can run deep in this draft late, this is your draft. Last year, there were some big, higher touted guys like Leggett and the kid that went to Buffalo. Oh my God, my mind's blanking. Keon Coleman. So you had some of those more highly touted guys. This is filled with a bunch of later round guys. But like I said, we skipped wide receiver. Oh, excuse me. And we're just going to go ahead and head straight into some numbers here. So as like yesterday, I'm going to minimize me completely off the screen here so you can at least get some view of this. Before every position group, we're going to talk some numbers, some key metrics, some stuff to keep an eye on. This is an argument we've been talking a good bit about here with the quarterbacks in this class, especially Shedeur Sanders, and that's the quarterback own pressure stat, which essentially means that a quarterback held on to the ball too long, didn't make a read, whatever. They were assigned blame potentially for a sack that they took. This can be broken down from quarterback to left tackle to center. All the way across the board. Sanders leads the class in that category, 26.2%, which is something he was accused of a little bit last year, taking sacks to keep that completion percentage up is what some of the Colorado State players said. But with that same breath, you got to say Ewers from Texas, which I haven't been a fan of him for a while. Hennigan, which we're going to talk about. Hennigan. Shaw, who we saw go to the Saints, correct? Or who was it he went to yesterday? And then Dylan McCord, which we're going to talk about him. Lowest quarterback own pressure rates in this class. Brosmer, was that Minnesota? Actually throw a pretty good ball, honestly. He's a sneak guy, kind of. Of course, Will Howard, the championship quarterback. Jackson Dart, Milroe, Leonard, and Gabriel. And you're going to see Howard, Dart, and Gabriel come up on. Sorry. Again, I haven't slept yet, guys, so I'm trying to push through super hard here. But again, so passing under pressure. McCord, Dart, Sanders, Gabriel, Shaw, Ward. Cool. You're going to see this as a pattern. NFL rating under pressure. So takes less on the passing, but takes a more all-encompassing. The NFL rating under pressure is a more all-encompassing stat in a sense. And the leader in that category is Jackson Dart. Right behind him, McCord from Syracuse, Rourke from Indiana, Leonard from Notre Dame, Ward from Miami, and Gabriel from Oregon. Okay, cool. So then we got to check how it goes on the blitz. I'll pass on the pass rating. We'll just get to the NFL rating with blitz. Howard leads the class. Gabriel, Sanders, Dart, Ward, Rourke. You're kind of hearing these names come up again. When we talk about big time throws, in total amount of them, McCord leads the class with 36. Ward and Dart 2 and 3, basically. Big time throw percentages, though. So based on their total volume, Dart leads the class with Ward and Hennigan right behind him, McCord and Rourke right there as well. Turnover worthy plays, something to keep a little bit of an eye on. Ewers, one of the bigger guys in this class, ranked 4th on that list. McCord ranked 13th. But I'll be honest, Caleb Williams was the number 1 guy on that list last year, and he did a pretty good job, I'd say, of not, having a problem in the NFL. Couple things. Average depth of target. Eget from San Jose State averaged 12.4 yards attempt. They were throwing it deep at San Jose. Dart with an 11.9 and Rourke with a 10.4. Dart, again, keeps showing up across the numbers. Most play action dropbacks of any quarterback in this class with 252. He also had the highest drop back percentage using play action, meaning almost 53.2% of his snaps had some action of play, element of play action. So I can kind of understand it. Shaw and Ewers, 42%. Gabriel and Howard, 38 and 40. NFL rating while using play action, leaders of that category, Rourke from Indiana, Howard from Ohio State, Hennigan, Dart, Ward, and McCord. Again, you're going to see a lot of these guys here coming up here on my list. Jackson Dart, did not expect him to actually really go in the first round based off his ranking. I thought he might be there in the third, to be honest. Good morning, David McNiner. I have not been to sleep yet. We are powering through, and I'm going to go take a shower before our stream. But I really wanted to get all my guys on the record. Of course, Dylan Gabriel, we just mentioned him a bunch. These guys had numbers that just consistently flash. Gabriel's put up over 3,000 yards for 3 straight years. Dart led a ton of different categories. Both have things that they need to work on. But both, if they go to the right system, they might work. I don't know if Dart's going to work in New York, but we'll see. Will Howard, we mentioned him a lot. The Ohio State championship quarterback, elevated his game to one of the highest levels there in Notre Dame in the highest, it goes a long way for me. I don't feel like I don't have to say too much about Will Howard. Now, Seth Hennigan might be a name you don't know about. Seth Hennigan threw for 7,000 yards in high school, 4-year starter quarterback. I think like 60 or 70 touchdowns to 12 interceptions over his career. And then immediately walked on to Memphis and became a 4-year starting quarterback for Memphis, where, again, he threw for 3,500 plus yards every year with Memphis. If you can see that touchdown interception ratio, he's thrown always for more than 20 interceptions, never thrown for double-digit interceptions. I like the kid. He's got to improve on some stuff. But Memphis, there's quite a few Memphis players on my list that you're going to see today actually as part of this. And Hennigan caught my eye a ton. Like Tyson Bajan caught my eye at the combine a couple years ago. If I remember correctly, he graded well, much better on the under throws, his short passing game, and then of course as the balls got deeper, got a little wonkier. But I'd have to go back to my actual draft notes, and maybe we'll go back there if he gets drafted. But Seth Hennigan from Memphis, got to keep an eye on here. Two other names you constantly heard coming up there: Kyle McCord. Kid's got to work on some parts of his game. But we saw his number one wide receiver, Bryant, go earlier yesterday. The kid played at Ohio State. Kyle McCord was high school teammates with Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver out there in Arizona. That's actually why he went to Ohio State, played with them. And then after he left, he transferred to Syracuse, where, of course, he led the Syracuse to one of their best seasons ever. 4,700 yards, 34 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. And again, we talked about he led in a lot of different categories. Curtis Rourke, one of those guys I feel like not a lot of guys are talking about. 3-year starter over there in Indiana. Great touchdown to interception ratio. We mentioned him coming up a lot with beating pressure and beating blitzes. I think he's got great size, and I feel like not enough people are talking about him. Not going to burn you all day on quarterbacks, though. Running backs, though, we've got some numbers we got to talk about. So you've heard me mention these numbers a lot. Highest elusivity ratings. By far in this draft class, Genty, not even close. Welcome in, Jeffrey Champion, by the way. My Browns got Dillon Gabriel. What's your thoughts on? Dude, I'm a huge fan. Hold on. We'll go back. So Dillon Gabriel, I think's an absolute star, especially if he goes to the right system. He's one of the highest passing under pressure quarterbacks in this draft class. He leads in NFL rating under pressure. He's one of the best he's the second best quarterback in this class when dealing with the blitz NFL rating style, which you see that similarity to Bo Nix last year. I mean, he does it all in a certain sense. He's got expense. He played like 40% of his snaps with play action elements, so he's experienced in the play action game in a certain sense. I definitely think he was slept on. I'm not hating on that pick at all, Jeffrey. I think he's got serious potential. Have his stats right there. Basically, 12-year starter, 3,000 yards every single season, never threw more than 6 interceptions, always threw for more than 25 touchdowns. Played really good against Penn State, good against Michigan, good against Ohio State the first time, which I feel like is more important. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, YTC, it was one of those ones, Dart just constantly flashed across numbers, big time throws, average depth. So supposedly the thing on him is he's actually really good with concepts. Like if you tell him to run a smash concept on the left side, he reads that concept really well. Now, moving on to the other side of the field, they say he might question, but I would still say they say he's really good at understanding how to okay, I need to beat that corner over right there with this curl flat combo, basically. He knows who he's trying to pick on and take advantage of it. And he's really good at pushing the ball down the field, shows big time throws. YTC, he's got potential, dude. I'm excited for you in a certain sense. And Jeffrey, Dillon Gabriel shows a lot of similarities to Bo Nix in a certain sense when you look at the numbers. Jeffrey says, I asked everybody that's a Browns fan is hating on Gabriel, and I didn't understand it. He played everywhere. Exactly, dude. I like guys that show they can do it in different systems, that they can play. We're going to highlight this on the offensive line later. I love guys with versatility, and I think there's going to be a lot of guys in this draft class that are being slept on. Back to the running backs, though. Elusivity rating, Genty, Kiner, Tootin from who was the combine star, Hunter from Auburn, Scatabo, Johnson, who we saw got taken yesterday by the Steelers, Omari and Hampton, and then Harvey. So a couple of those guys gone. Not a lot of those guys are actually going to be here on the special. really only going to hit on a couple more things. The pass blocking leaders in this class, we're going to talk about almost most of these guys. That's Allen from Syracuse, Stewart from Jacksonville State, Smith from SMU, Taj Brooks from Texas Tech, and Sampson, of course, from Tennessee. Receiving leaders in this class, again, Smith leading the class there, Allen, Scatabo, and Young from Western Kentucky. If you're looking for gap versus zone, I've got it down there as well. Who had the most zone attempts, who did the most gap attempts, but I'm going to try to push through. Again, I have not slept tonight. I'm trying to push through this offensive draft special so I can put my shit on record. I'm telling y'all, when I get to offensive line, I'm going to have so many names y'all have never heard of before. It's about to start getting deep here. So Brashard Smith, we just talked about him a lot. One of the best running backs in this class. If you're looking for a third down back with some potential, Smith's definitely one of your guys. I think we saw Jordan James go earlier in this draft already. I think David McNiner was talking about him a good bit. He's a workhorse. He's not a big flashy guy, but if you're looking for a workhorse back, he is. YTC, I actually didn't put Bow on here, and it's not because he's not good. It's just because everyone talked about him too much. Kevin Neal, we talked about him on the draft yesterday. I mean, if you're looking for a Ray Davis, the third round pick by the Buffalo Bills last year, a clone, this is your kid. 3 straight years of 1,000 yards, back-to-back 16 touchdowns. He's a one-cut, put his foot down and make a move. He runs with patience. Again, looks a lot like Ray Davis in my opinion. And if I'm not mistaken, Devin Neal from Kansas is coming out third down ready, that he can do the receiving duties. He can do some pass blocking duties pretty well. He's going to make a team pretty happy. Taj Brooks from Texas Tech. Okay. Back-to-back 1,500-yard seasons, okay? But the thing is this, he's a player that I think converted from like wide receiver or quarterback. He understands how the passing game works. At the combine, I am very critical of tiny details. So 2 running backs in this draft class did the one thing that I wanted to see. And so I listen to what the coaches are yelling at these guys and telling them like what they want them to do, because every team in college and the NFL runs their routes slightly differently, or not every, but you know what I'm saying. There are a lot of different ways to run a route. And so I'm trying to listen how the coach on the field, who is one of the NFL coaches for a team, is telling them how to run it. But so they were doing their wheel route, where of course they make it look like they're hitting the flat, and then of course they round out, turn up field, and hit the wheel basically. 2 running backs in this combine class did a very small detail that I was very fond of, and it's these small things that matter. And the one was Taj Brooks, and we're going to get to the other running back from Auburn here in a second. They flashed their hands. So when they got to that ideal depth on that out flat part of the route before they turned up field for the wheel, they flashed their hands so that their quarterback could move the eyes. And if there's a low corner safety, basically it's getting them to jump downfield thinking that it is the flat route to the running back. And then that running back, if he yanks that upfield correctly, gone. And Taj Brooks is one of those guys. Again, I don't think he's going to be that super flashy guy. He's not going to have that breakaway speed, tons of yards after contact. But I think if you're looking for a guy that, again, can contribute on third down and give you some solid cutting style, like waiting for your blocks, he's smart how he sets things up. If I remember correctly, one of the scouts notes says that he's very planning in his moves. Sometimes it becomes a problem because he doesn't make a move when he should, but he is patient and he plans stuff out. And that shows, like I said, in the small details of the passing game. And here's the other running back we're talking about, Jarquez Hunter, the other running back at the draft or combine, the only other guy that flashed the small details that I want to see. Hunter is a guy that's on the highest list for elusivity. I think he's a guy that nobody's talked about. He put up 1,200 yards last season. He's played 12 games and been a rotational starter for 3 years for Auburn. And as you can see, he had 224 yards his first year at Auburn and 100 receiving yards every single year after that. He's got potential breakaway speed. He's got decent, balance and run after contact ability. We're really focusing, as you can tell now, on a lot of these guys on their ability to play on third down. Oh, dude, Jeffrey, this running back class is so insanely deep. Interior defensive line and running back are so deep. I truly think that every team could find a potential guy that could contribute day one, if you get what I mean. Whether, like, case in point, LaQuint Allen, Jarquez Hunter, and Brooks, big third down guys that you could bring in possibly. Especially this next guy, LaQuint Allen from Syracuse. 3-year started over there, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, had 529 receiving yards on 54 catches as a halfback. I want you to think about that for a minute. This is not a guy that's going to blow you away with his running. But if you're looking for a running back that can immediately come in, he is the best pass-blocking running back in the draft class. If you're looking for a pass catcher running back in this draft class, you should be pounding the table for this guy at some point. He finished out the end of the season against Miami and Washington State and Cal and played some of his best football. I love this kid. I've been on his train since the beginning of this draft process. Finishing up, just two quick guys. We mentioned Corey Kiner a little bit. Don't know if that elusivity and yard after contact will transfer to the NFL from Cincinnati. Definitely with Cincinnati's schedule, there's a little bit of worry about tackling issues on some of those teams. But back-to-back 1,000-plus yard seasons, high elusivity rating. I mean, if you're sitting there and you want a running back at 6, take a shot. He might be your next Chase Brown. And, of course, Marcus Yarns, the Delaware fighting blue hen, 3-year starter over there. Really like the kids. We saw him at the Combine. I hope he finds a team late. Moving on to tight ends. Not a lot of tight ends in this draft class left. A lot of them went early. Harold Fannin went early. Terrence Ferguson's already gone. That's why I've got them up early. We're not going to talk too much about them. Will Shepard, he caught my eye. If you think he goes in the 4th, he'd be a steal. So with those two already gone, I'm not going to talk much about them. And again, if you don't know, basically I cut off players somewhere around 70 on the big boards. I really try to find the later guys. Tight end's going to get a little thin late. If you're looking for a tight end right now with Mason Taylor gone, Arroyo gone, Terrence Ferguson gone, Harold Fanning gone, I'm telling you, tight end is thin right now. And if you're looking for a receiving tight end, there's maybe only one option left, and that's Gadsden II from Syracuse. Part of that Kyle McCord renaissance they had over there. He's actually, I think, one of the better deep vertical guys. I think he did a lot of that at Syracuse this year, if I'm not mistaken. 934 yards. He averaged 12.8 yards a catch, played 327 slot, 183 inline, 7 touchdowns on the season. I'd take a shot on this kid. Absolutely. If I was a team here looking for, a tight end late. Of course, Michigan kind of shut him down early in this season, but he's played 3 years with 400 plus snaps. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the other side at my boy Callerup. I'm so sorry. But Gadsden's your last receiving tight end, and then we're James Bond, Shador going to Jacksonville. Jags trade. You know what's funny, James? I saw something about that earlier that they would trade so that they could have Travis Hunter and Shador down there together. That'd be wild if it actually came to fruition. I'm going to be honest. The rest of the tight ends here in this draft special for the offense, after Gadsden, I'm telling you right now, are only for blocking if you're looking for tight end number 2. The first guy up is going to be Nick Callerup from Minnesota, 6'5", 270, got that prototypical size. He's basically, they had another tight end that was doing more of the pass catching duties, and he kind of put up the same grade with more attempts. So I would take the shot on Callerup if you're looking for a blocking guy. He played pretty good. He played some decent teams: Penn State, Wisconsin, Maryland, USC, Michigan, Iowa. He played some pretty good teams this year. And again, if you're looking for just a run blocking guy, Callerup's got the potential. And what I like is, again, that he has a ton of run blocking experience. I like guys that play snaps. It's about as simple as that. Last guy, a lot of people have talked about this guy. Jackson Hawes might be considered the best run blocking tight end in this draft class. Basically, I like that he's a Yale guy. He played 3 years at Yale, and then he went to Georgia Tech. 6'5", 260, so he's got that kind of more prototypical size of the tight ends. Played Notre Dame, played Florida State, played Syracuse, played Miami, played Georgia, played Vander. He played some good teams and had some good run blocking reps. Of course, not all of them the best. But Duke and Notre Dame looks like he was dealing with injuries, so I really wish we could have seen more on the Notre Dame game. But seeing as that he played limited snaps and that was his worst game of the year, I also like that he's a Yale kid. It probably signals that he's got high intelligence. And if you're looking for a run blocking guy more so, definitely taking a shot on Hawes. This is hopefully where it's going to speed up a little bit. Tackles, not a lot of numbers to talk about. The Zero Sack Club, you're going to see that come up a lot. Zero Sack Club, you might not recognize that first name, Sen. I've talked about it with Sponge a little bit. The Philly fan. Sen is the left tackle for the University of Connecticut Huskies. Everyone knows Chase Lunt, and we're going to talk about him a little bit. I didn't put Sen up on the board. Sen has actually been like a 3-year starter for the Huskies. Very reliable. Part of the Zero Sack Club, and he's a Austrian player that is part of the NFL development program or whatever it was. Came here to play, whatever. I would not be surprised if we see Sen's name called here on day 3, especially 6th or 7th round. And I bet you a lot of people aren't going to know who he is. But moving on, Lunt, we all know about Chase Lunt, the 6'8" tackle. Weatherspoon from Ohio State. Pohl, we're going to talk about. Everyone knows Mimbo went in the first round. Barrington from Texas, we're going to talk about. Sherwin from Western Michigan, we're going to talk about. Millam went yesterday, and then Brown from Kansas. He's here a lot, but we're not going to have him on the special. Actually, did I put him on the special? I might have. Dominic Pooty's old guy. Some of those Kansas guys are pretty good. Tackles that allowed less than 6 hurries this season. Another guy not on the draft special, but an eye you might want to keep an eye on. Rickman from Iowa, the tackle. Didn't give up a lot of hurries. Connerly Jr., of course, we saw go to Washington. Pohl, we're going to talk about. Barrington, we're going to talk about. Milam, we saw go yesterday. Brown, we just mentioned. And then, of course, I put Banks up there to show that, we're talking to give you a reference on the numbers. Kelvin Banks gave up 7 hurries, but of course, level of competition. Last number to talk about, pass blocking efficiency, measuring their total snaps and weighing it all. Barrington, Milam, Mimbo, Pohl, Connerly Jr., Lunt, Banks Jr., and Kilty. And we're going to talk about Kilty here in a moment. So, you can see some of these names are coming up like Mimbo and Banks in the same category of some of these guys. So the real thing is it comes about the quality of competition that they faced. So we mentioned these guys a lot. Why Millam went yesterday. I truly think he's got the potential to be like a Dominic Pooney. We did Pooney last year on the draft special, thinking that he was going to go 3rd round. Millam went, I think, 3rd round. Did he go late 2nd? Either way. Incredible potential. Of course, there's the questions about the competition, but I think it'll translate fine. Chase Lunt, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. A lot of people have talked about Chase Lunt, big 6'8" right tackle for the Connecticut Huskies. But I'm telling you, Last name Sen, Senn. Look out for it. It's the left tackle for the Connecticut Huskies. He's going to get drafted probably here today, but Chase Lunt going to be huge. So now we're going to start getting into the tackles that hey, welcome in, O Squirrel. We're going to start talking about some of these tackles that I bet you haven't really been paying attention to or heard of. So Campbell Barrington, the Baylor Bears. Sorry, I want to pull it up on mine here. Sorry. I'm trying to pull up all my stuff as well. Can I re-pull that up? Sorry, pardon me for just a moment while I try to pull something up to make it a little easier here. Just to make life easier for reading. All right, my apologies. That didn't help, of course. But Barrington played 800 snaps for Baylor, both the last 2 seasons. Last year, though, he spent 426 at right guard, 368 at right tackle, and 81 at left tackle. Still graded out pretty damn well, 77.9 and higher. BYU transfer to Baylor. He played against some decent competition: LSU, Kansas, West Virginia, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. And he played better towards the end of the stretch other than that bowl game against LSU. Very solid in pass protection. Not going to be, probably one of these run guys, but 6'6", 303, and he's one of the highest efficiency pass blockers in this draft class. And again, he's part of the 0 sack club, so love seeing the 0 sack club. The other guy, we got Gerard Christian Lechtenhen, Oregon State Beaver. 2-year starter, drastically improved this past season. I could say almost 3-year starter. Played all left tackle. This is going to be, again, a guy that more of a pass protection guy, I feel like. But he's got potential, I feel like, to develop on the inside as well. Maybe he'll be a guard, but Easton Kilty, another one of those guys that came up on the pass block efficiency numbers. Kansas State tackle. Dude, the amount of snaps this kid has played. He played 700 snaps for 3 seasons straight, basically 4 seasons. He's a North Dakota right guard and tackle that then came to Kansas State for his final year. His final 2 seasons at North Dakota were nothing to sleep on, 82 plus. And we know a lot of those North Dakota line have made it to the NFL at this point. What up, David McNiner? So, of course, he comes over to Kansas State, and he actually starts at left tackle, which what he did at his final season at North Dakota. So, again, this guy's got guard experience. He's got right tackle experience. He's got left tackle experience. 6'6", 307, got elite size, in my opinion, for the tackle position. Again, pass blocking guy, not really going to be your run blocker, but we're highlighting a lot of offensive linemen with versatility. Nick Malone, another one of those names that came up here just a minute ago. Actually, no, it didn't. I'm lying. But we liked what we saw. 6'5", 298, so he's got to put on some size, but opened the season against Penn State and did not have himself a bad game to start. Constantly put up really good pass protecting numbers. These West Virginia guys are starting to come out here. And this is a guy, primarily played right tackle this past year, but last year played left tackle and right tackle for them. Improved, which I like to see as well. Has potential to be one of those, elite. A lot of these tackles are going to be pass guys. I don't feel like there's a lot of nasty run finishers, even in the guards, to be honest with you. But I think that you're going to see a lot of pretty good tackles go off the board here. Final four here left on the tackles. Holland Pierce, we mentioned his name earlier, the Rutgers Scarlet Knight, 3-year starter that improved every single year, started out as a right tackle, moved to left tackle, and got better. He flashed across the board, didn't really have too many down games. I mean, what else can you say, right? Like, he played pretty dang good football. He played Washington. He played Virginia Tech. He played Wisconsin. He played UCLA. He played USC, Minnesota, Maryland, Michigan State, Kansas State, Illinois. And he played pretty good. He's considered one of the better run blockers in this class. You might actually have a guy that might be a better run blocker than pass blocker for once, but I don't know. The next guy, high risk, high reward potential, Issa Pohl. I don't have the height there, but I'm pretty sure he's a pretty tall, rangy guy. Very limited experience. 9 games, 2023, 13, 2024. That's it. Doesn't have the highest grades. Really bad in his run blocking duties, but supposedly when it comes to pass protection, has some potential there. We mentioned him as part of the 0 sack club. He's part of less than 6 hurries. He's one of the more efficient pass blockers in this draft class. I totally forgot to move the presentation. I'm so sorry. Holland Pearson, Issa Pohl. I'm so sorry. I forgot to move the other presentation forward. Again, if you got a 6th-round pick and you're looking for a developmental tackle with high upside, yeah, man, take a shot on Issa Pohl from Washington State. And like I said, Holland Pierce, I don't have his exact size right now, but maybe if he's got serious pass blocking issues, maybe he can move inside to guard. But he's got right tackle and left tackle experience. And again, you're just going to hear me harp on this. Versatility, versatility, versatility. Final 2 guys, Jack Sherwin, I think is going to be kind of a steal. I think a lot of these Western Michigan guys played pretty well this year. The thing that I was looking here, 6'3", 298, a little bit on the smaller side, but 3-year starter, basically 4-year starter for Western Michigan. I like the amount of snaps that he's played. He's played primarily right tackle. But the thing that really caught my eye here was the Michigan game. He had more run blocking snaps than pass blocking snaps. And he held his own against some of those Ohio State guys that we saw go in the first round. Yeah, again, if I'm sitting there with like somewhere between a 5th and a 7th round pick, and I want a guy that, again, this is a guy that probably can maybe move inside to guard potentially. Maybe he stays at tackle, probably because he's too small to move to guard. Who knows? Maybe he can play center for all we know. But he's definitely worth a shot. Definitely worth a shot in this draft class. And some of the games he was like the guy in my mind. Part of the 0 sack club, only gave up 4 hits on the season. Could be a little better in his pass blocking in some sense, but again, if I'm looking for a right tackle, usually I like my right tackles to be a little meaner with the run game. Final guy, John Williams, didn't really come across any of like the stat lines there that we were talking about earlier, but 2-year starter there for the Cincinnati Bearcats, played left tackle both seasons, only gave up 1 sack, 1 hit, 6 hurries this year, 2 sacks last year. Decent body of work. This guy, again, maybe we're stretching for, but we're trying to focus on guys that might be able to give you some pass protection at some point. Moving on to the guard class, definitely not a lot of guards here. I feel like we're going to see more tackles convert to guards than anything in this draft class. The 0 sack club for the guards, that's Frazier from LSU, Beckett, which Frazier we're going to talk about, Beckett from New Mexico we're going to talk about, Dew we're going to talk about, Lampkin we're going to talk about, Condra from Cincinnati we're going to talk about, West from Western Michigan we're going to talk about. Wilson went yesterday, and I don't know what I put there? Oh, there's 44 people in the 0 sack club, so it doesn't amount for much for the guards. When we get to the hurries, though, less than 5 hurries this season. West, like I said, we're going to talk about him from Michigan, Central Michigan, or West Michigan. Beckett from New Mexico. Wilson went yesterday. Lampkin, Velez, we're going to talk about him. Lamas, Webb, whatever. We're just going to talk about these guys, right? Let's just. So, Dylan Fairchild, we saw him go yesterday. Absolutely. Oh, wait, did he go yesterday? Is he still on the board? If he's still on the board, he's going to make our team really happy. But I think he went yesterday in the 3rd round. Great guard potential. Love that he played right guard and left guard in the 2023 season. Again, pass protection guy, certain run scheme, he'll work. Good to make someone happy. Willie Lampkin, technically listed as a guard, but he's probably going to play center like he did in 2022. But you love the versatility playing center, right guard, left guard, did it all. Super short guy, former Coastal Carolina Chanticleer, which we're going to have one other Chanticleer here on the draft special later. Again, more than likely going to move to center, but looked like he could hold his own at the Senior Bowl. So now we're going to start getting to maybe some of these guards that you haven't heard of in this draft class. They're not on a lot of big boards. First guy we mentioned, part of the 0 sack club, part of the low pressure club. I think he's one of the pass efficiency club members, and that's the 6'4", 340-pound Baraka Beckett. Started at UCLA, didn't play any snaps, went to Campbell, played pretty well, but then finished his year at New Mexico where he was outstanding in his pass blocking duties there in New Mexico. Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up now. Played against Arizona, played Auburn, played against Wyoming, played against Washington State. Basically held a 80-plus pass blocking grade every single snap. Primarily a left guard. So if you're looking for a pass protection potential left guard later here on day 3, dude, I'm banging the table to give your boy Beckett a chance, man. Give it to Baraka, bro. Let Baraka take care of it. I'm interested. I don't even know what he looks like, to be honest with you, but the New Mexico Lobos, I'm giving that kid a shot. Brock Dew, another name that constantly I just mentioned here on the 0 sack club, and the we already mentioned one of these other Washington State guys earlier, 6'3", 288 guard, so he's a little small for the guard position. Of course, that lines up kind of with the competition that he was playing against. 2-year starter over there for Washington State, basically improved every single year. Played more right guard. So I'm giving you a right guard that's a pass blocker, and I'm giving you a left guard that's a pass blocker here in the late round. Both guys, though, might be a little more developmental. But if we're talking about developmental guys, we got to talk about my boy Heston Edwards from CCU, the Chanticleer Teal Nation. As you can see there on the screen, only 1 year of football, at least on the books. I don't know if he was maybe a D2 or lower the year before. 6'4", 315 guard for the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Of course, CCU doesn't play against the best competition. But the one game we're looking at there is against Virginia. Virginia got some guys out there. Marshall had Mike Green. UTSA got some dogs. In some of the better games he was supposed to play, he played pretty well. Of course, not really known for his run blocking, known for his pass blocking out there. Primarily played left guard, but he's actually got he played 143 snaps at center as well. So I like the versatility of center and the guard play. What else do you want from him? If you're looking for a project guy that showed some potential, you got to take a shot on my boy Heston Edwards, like probably 7th round pick, to be honest with you. Kansas slowly starting to put out some offensive line, though. We already talked about the tackle from Kansas earlier. Michael Ford Jr., though, the guard over there, he's played 700 snaps of football for the Kansas Jayhawks for 4 straight seasons. You want to talk about reliability. He was primarily a left guard this year. He split his snaps almost 50-50 at left guard and center the year before. The year before that, he was the primary starting, or 2 years, I'm sorry, right guard. My apologies. Left guard and right guard. So this guy has played on both sides of the line, but seemed to shine more on the left side. Maybe it was the strength of competition in a certain sense. Maybe it was the guys playing beside him. 6'3", 305, though. My thing with him is this. With how many snaps of football Michael Ford Jr. has played for the Kansas City Jayhawks, I value the experience and how much he has improved every single year for them. I like that he's learning. I like that he improves. Again, we talked about it. I'm highlighting a lot of guys with a lot of versatility. They played him a little bit of everywhere at least once, if you feel me. And I like that. And he originally started at Buffalo, like my boy Dolak on the defensive special yesterday. But let's keep moving here. I don't want to get held up too long. We got to get through this so I can go eat and shower for the draft. These are guys that are going to be probably undrafted, but maybe we'll see them get called out today. Andre Lamas, the 6'3", 300-pound guard from the Florida Atlantic Owls. Florida Atlantic opened up the season against Michigan State, and he had 24 pass block snaps and graded out pretty well. UConn got the better of him. Didn't play a lot of competition after that, but again, he played 414 snaps at right guard this past season, 213 at center. Basically, his final 3 games, they moved him to center against Temple, Charlotte, and Tulsa, and he played outstanding. I don't know if that was maybe a move because he's going to move to center in the draft, or if there was a injury at center. But Andre Lamas, again, the versatility, the ability to move quickly and adapt and still put out pretty dang good numbers. I think he might warrant a pick as a developmental guy here on day 3. Osmar Velez, I think his name came up earlier on, the pass blocking efficiency list and the hurry list. The Fresno State Bulldogs, 6'1", 308, so he's a little smaller, but Fresno opened up the season against Michigan, and he put up one of his best pass blocking performances, and you probably can't see it. In that game, Fresno, of course, I'm guessing down, 40 pass blocking snaps to 19 run blocking snaps. So he was having to deal with that Michigan defense, which we just saw all the first rounders and second rounders go, and still played a damn good game. Like, 2-year starter, primarily left guard, played a little bit of center. But again, if you're looking for a late shot here on day 3 and someone that showed, hey, maybe he can actually line up against one of these guys that got drafted earlier and be able to make it work. I'm guessing at Fresno State, maybe he wasn't the best around them, and I don't really know the full scale of the season. But again, when it's day 3, dude, I think, and thank you, ES, for dropping in, by the way. I'm sorry, I've still got 2 more pages here of guards as well. I'm so sorry. Addison West, I could have kept him off the draft special from Western Michigan. You saw him on the 0 sack club. You saw him he only allowed 2 hurries this season, 6'3", 305. I've taken him in almost every mock draft I've taken this year. They open against Wisconsin. Then they go to Ohio State. Played really good against both those teams, putting up great pass blocking grades. I think a lot of these Western Michigan players found a home. He's played 800 snaps for 3 years in a row. Let me say that again. 800 snaps for 3 years in a row. And the first year, he played left guard for 290 plus snaps, center for 137, and right guard for 389. He then moved to right guard full-time the next year, and then the next year, right guard with a little bit of center. You want to talk about a guy that's consistent, that gives you what you want, shows you versatility. Ah, dude, I'm gonna be honest. I'd have maybe thought about blowing a third round pick on Addison West. I'd be shocked if he gets out of the fifth. We mentioned Miles Frazier. I think again, I could justify the third round pick on possibly Miles Frazier. Played better down the stretch. And again, a guy you want to talk about played a lot of snaps. Started at FIU, Florida International. Second year played 600 plus snaps, and then has played 700 plus snaps for 3 years in a row at LSU. 6'5", 325. Played against some of the best competition in the country. He played primarily right guard, but he's also played left guard and right tackle. Again, honestly, I would have not been surprised if Miles Frazier, these two guys, one of my higher rated guys on the boards, like Fairchild and Lampkin. I probably should have put them at the very front, but like definitely thought these guys might have been gone already. Super excited, whichever team gets them. These two guys, whichever team signs them, steal. And I'll go to my deathbed on that. My final two guards here, guys you probably haven't heard of. Preston Wilson, the guard from Oklahoma State, 6'4", 295, so doesn't really have that elite size. But again, we're looking at certain things like volume of snaps. I don't know if you can see that. He has been a 5-year starter, essentially, for Oklahoma State. Basically had a 70-plus grade every single year. He's played right tackle, center, right guard, left guard. You want to talk about, these are two of them, probably the most versatile offensive linemen in this class. When you're talking about sheer volume of snaps and the variance in what the positions they've played, and still being able to put out a good level of product. That's important. You can do all that you want. If you suck, you suck. I'm not trying to be mean there, but like these guys didn't play the best competition, but they didn't play the worst competition. And again, that's a 510 the first year, 662 the next year, 632 the next year, 940 the next year, 781 the year after that. Looking at Christian Hilborn on the other side, 860, 816, and I think that's 697. And he's played right guard, right tackle, left guard, left tackle in just one season. That's Christian Hilborn, the 6'5", 308 guard from Washington State. And one of the things I like about both of these guys, if you look at their grades, they finished the season strong. They had some of their best games at the end of the seasons. And that's always something you like to see. We're almost done here, guys. Hang on with me. We got the centers, and there's not a lot of them. Zero Sack Club real quick. Majors from Texas, Wilson from Georgia, who already went, Yarrow from New Mexico, who we're going to talk about, Jones, McLaughlin from Ohio State, 5 hurries, whatever. We're just going to go ahead and get through this. Jared Wilson, I think he went yesterday as well. Really good center. Not surprised there. Sleeper guy for me, Jacob Bayer, Arkansas State Red Wolf, 6'3", 310 center. He's played over 600 snaps at center for 4 years straight. This is a 4-year starting center between Lamar and Arkansas State that got better every single year. And again, I want you to pay attention to who they played week 3, Michigan. Week 4, Iowa State. 2 back-to-back road games, hard games to go play. And again, we just watched 2 Michigan defensive linemen go in the first round. We're watching Iowa State guys go. We're going to see some of these other guys go too. If you're looking for a center, and again, this is day 3, you've got chances to take shots on guys like this. I'd take a shot on Jacob Bayer. Again, Michigan, he had 36 pass blocking snaps, way more pass blocking than run blocking, and he kind of crushed it low key, in my opinion. Same thing with Iowa State, a lot more pass blocking snaps, kind of fucking crushed it. And in games where he was allowed to run block against small in competition, where they did, maybe get ahead, He graded good in his run. When he got a chance to run block more against lower competition, he did pretty good. Could have been a more dominant, yes. And do I like to see more dominant play on the lower level? Yes. But I'd take a shot on this kid if you're looking for a center. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't have it up on the board. Here's the graphics. Jacob Bayer, center on the right, 6'3", 310. Jared Wilson, we talked about him. But Bayer graded well out at Michigan and Iowa State. Would definitely take a shot on that kid. Moving back, though, we're going back to Western Michigan. I guess the Michigan kids had something in the water this year. This is, again, another guy with versatility. He played right guard, he played left guard, but he's basically a 3-year starting center for Western Michigan. Graded pretty well almost every year. Even the year when he played left guard mostly, he graded out really well. Then they moved him to center. He had a struggle, but then he got better basically. Played against Ohio State this year. Didn't have a terrible game. Could have been a little better. 6'2", 295. Jacob Gideon. Going to be more of a developmental guy than some of these other guys. Because he didn't. Actually, I'm sorry. Ohio State, he only got 1 snap, so he was hurt. I would have loved to have seen him actually play against Ohio State. It would have been a good opportunity, but you could probably leave Gideon off this list. He'll probably go undrafted. This other guy, though, Trent Holler, 6'2", 311, Memphis Tiger. Again, versatility, 952 snaps as a center this year. Played primarily left guard the year before that. Then the year before that, he split his snaps at left guard and right guard. At East Carolina, he played right guard. Got a lot of versatility, which is what I'm looking for. Played a good game against West Virginia late. Played pretty good against Florida State. Other than that, the level of competition definitely dropped, but seemed like an overall consistent player that gave me also inside versatility, which is something I'm looking for in these picks. Moving on, Logan Jones, 6'3", 293 center from Iowa. Usually you can just trust an Iowa offensive lineman. This is a guy that was a 3-year starter, kind of struggled his first 2 years, but really blossomed in this final season. Had a great pass blocking game against Ohio State where he had a high number, played pretty good against Michigan State, played Maryland, UCLA, Wisconsin. Maybe Ty Robinson in Wisconsin got a little bit of the better of him. But, I'm sorry. He just was run blocking constantly, and he had one of his best run blocking games. And he's one of those guys. When he run blocks, he seemed to run block well. And when he had to pass block, he seemed to pass block well. Like the Minnesota game, if you can see his pass blocking grade, not well. But if you look at the snaps, he did 44 run block snaps to 20 pass block snaps. Via Ohio State, where he had the high pass block grade, he had 26 pass snaps to his 19 run snaps. So again, seems like a guy, when he knows what the game plan is, he can execute the game plan. Iowa just usually has a way of putting out offensive linemen, and I feel like he might want to be those guys. And again, 3 years of starting experience, high snap volume. It's what I like to see. Vincent Murphy, very interesting guy. Only gave up 1 sack on the year, 2 hurries. The Tulane Green Wave, 6'2", 304. Again, you want to talk about a guy that played a lot of snaps the past 3 years. So started at South Carolina, transferred to Western Kentucky, had 2 good years, and then transferred to Tulane. At Kentucky, he started as a right guard, where his first year he had over 1,000 snaps at right guard. Then they move him to center. He has even better year. That's when he transfers to Tulane and has a full starting year as Tulane's starting center. Played against, again, not the best competition, but I liked how he finished at the end of the year, especially against a game like Florida, Memphis, Temple, and didn't have a terrible game against Oklahoma week 3 where he had to travel. But again, if you're looking for a guy that can play guard potentially, maybe some center for you, and has got a good amount of snaps, again, I think you're going to find quite a few of these guys in this draft class. I'm banking on it. Did I skip a slide? I might have skipped a slide. Let's see. Apologies. Yeah, we did. Almost done. 3 guys left. Dominic Piglia, the third from Central Michigan. I told you these Central Michigan guys, a little bit different. 4-year starter, basically. Started at left guard, moved to center where he found his home, transferred to Central Michigan, took a year to really come into his bloom there. Played against not the best competition, but if you're looking again, played against Ohio State, played against some of these guys that went in the first round and had a pretty good pass blocking game when he was asked to pass block. 6'1", 295, but that's okay for a center in the NFL. And again, if we're looking for a late round guy that's got a lot of snaps and starting experience at center that lined up against some of the guys that went earlier in this draft, you can't ignore him. We talked about one of the New Mexico State Aggies earlier here, 6'1", 300-pound Cannon Yarrow. Started at Southern Utah, moved to New Mexico. He's played 700 plus snaps for 4 straight seasons. If you say 400, you can add a 5th year on there. So he's basically a 5-year starting center that has never scored under like 80 in his pass blocking in his entire career. Only allowed 0 sacks this season, only 1 hurry. Again, didn't play against the best competition. That's going to be the big knock. The one team he did play against, Texas A&M, does have some good players coming out, but not really known. But again, if you're just going to take a 6th round shot on a center, I'm telling you, I take that shot. I take that shot every time. Final guy on the draft special, Logan Schnetternitz, the Northern Illinois Husky. Again, we're talking high volume snap. He has been playing over there at Northern Illinois. What is that, like 6 or 7 years now? Started as a right guard, moved him to center this past year. A guy, again, that's logged over 1,000 snaps at right guard in a single year. Didn't really seem to be working out as a right guard, so they moved him to center where he seemed to really kind of take off a little more there. 2023, they had him playing a little bit of everything, just use him as a anything player. But the game that caught the eye here, of course, is he played Notre Dame week 2. And just like a lot of these Illinois guys, played pretty well. Of course, they were run blocking more than pass blocking. So that pass blocking grade a little exaggerated, but he was playing a little bit of left guard that game as well. So, you know, it maybe he does have a home at guard. Maybe he just needed to go to the left side a little more instead of the right side. We have a guy like that earlier in the draft. But with that, guys, that's the official stakes. Those are the names that if you hear here on day 3, I'm telling you, there was a reason that they were called. And I feel like a lot of those names we just went over were guys you probably haven't seen or heard in any mock draft you go to around recently. For every guy you probably did hear about, you probably heard about another guy you didn't. So that, I'll be honest, that's truly my goal here. This draft special is a little different than the others because I couldn't settle on players. I ran out of time, and I apologize for that. I desperately was trying to rectify the situation, but it didn't happen. But I hope maybe if you did watch this, it's been about an hour. We got 45 minutes till the draft starts. I still have to go shower and get coffee. I hope maybe you'll be a little more informed. Be like, oh, dude, I heard about that guy. I heard about that Washington State guy. Oh, no, I heard about that Central Michigan guy, that Northern Illinois guy, Stanford. You know what I'm saying? And if not, don't worry, because we'll be here with David McKnight, and we'll be here with all the boys here as the day 3 of the NFL draft gets ready to kick off here at noon. We've had some really great guys on the past few days. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of insight, a lot of passionate debating. I don't expect that to end today. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fun ride here on day 3. If you've got any question about any prospect here when we start the live draft coverage, let me know. I will find the data. I will find your guy. I will get you the information. I'm that guy. Yeah. And again, for everyone that's just tuning in, I have not been asleep yet. I am beyond tired, but I'm going to go take a shower, go grab 4 shots of espresso to get ready, and I'm going to chug espresso with the boys as we debate and analyze day 3 of the draft. I have special thanks David, ES, Bebop, YTC for all y'all drafting. Yeah, Scatabo and Bo are literally going to be steals. I did not think either would be there on day 3, to be honest with you, YTC. Scatabo was too high to be ranked on any of my boards, and Bo was like borderline, but I left him off because we've all been talking about him for a while. But yeah, he's going to be a steal for a team more than likely. I'll be back here with David McNiner here in 45 minutes for the start of day 3 of the NFL draft. Don't you miss it. This is the day I've spent months working on. Come hang out and when hopefully we'll talk about some day 3 stars that might shine in the NFL over the next 3 to 5 years. With that, guys, Darwin out. I'll catch y'all here shortly. Tune back in.